Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our next of the Cscape 10 webinars, Cscape 10 and Canvas. We'll just go straight into it as usual. If you have any questions, you can put them in at any point and we'll get to them at the end.
Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Today we will be looking at Cscape 10 and Canvas. Let's look at our agenda for today. We will start by defining what Cscape 10 and Canvas are. Then we will look at where the new Canvas series fits among the various OCS product lines that Horner Automation offers. We will also look at the features of each of the models in the Canvas lineup, as well as the support materials that are currently available. Next, we will discuss Cscape 10 in detail. First, we will look at the features available in Cscape 10, regardless of which Horner OCS product you may be using. Then we will look at the Cscape 10 features that are exclusive to Canvas. We will finish with the Q&A session. First, we will define Cscape 10. Cscape is a Horner-designed configuration software package and is the programming environment used for all current Horner all-in-one controllers. Just like previous versions of Cscape, Cscape 10 is completely free to download from the Horner website. Cscape 10 can be used with any current Horner OCS. However, there are some features that are exclusive to Canvas, which we will look at in detail later. Next, let's look at Canvas. Canvas is our newest family of all-in-one controllers. There are three main differences with Canvas compared to other Horner product lines. For one, Canvas has an advanced graphics engine, meaning Canvas has the most advanced graphics we have ever offered in an all-in-one controller. Canvas also has a dual-core microprocessor with a dedicated core for graphics and another dedicated core for logic. So regardless of how advanced your graphics or logic are in your project, these dedicated cores will ensure that they remain consistent and fast, and that you will have low scan rates. Finally, there is IIoT functionality built into Canvas. These features aren't necessarily brand new, but they are features that were not standard to Horner controllers prior to this, similar to MQTT Sparkplug and Ignition. So these are an extra with previous controller lines, become standard with Canvas. There is also an enhanced version of WebMI called WebMI Plus that is standard with Canvas, so there is no extra cost or licensing required. Now we will look at where Canvas fits in relation to the other Horner product lines. Our entry-level product line is the Micro OCS and is a very popular choice for simple machines where cost is an important factor. For more standard applications, the XL Prime series is a good option. This series carries on the tradition of our XL family with brand new internals that make it a viable product line for many years to come. Canvas fits in above both of these product lines with its advanced graphics, built-in IIoT functionality, and dual-core microprocessor, making Canvas our highest-end OCS product line. Next, we will look at the Canvas model lineup features in more detail. There are 5 different screen configurations available in Canvas. All Canvas models share the same characteristics, such as the advanced graphics, dual-core microprocessor, and built-in IIoT features. Canvas models also have the expected OCS peripherals, such as a CAN port for I/O expansion, at least one Ethernet port for industrial Ethernet support, FTP and email type support, serial ports for interfacing with legacy type devices that are still prevalent in industrial applications, micro SD for built-in data storage, and great maintenance capabilities. All Canvas units also have a USB-A port, so you can use that for a flash drive. You can also use this port to easily add Wi-Fi to any Canvas model. Horner offers a second-generation Wi-Fi adapter that plugs in over USB and can add Wi-Fi capability to any OCS that has a USB-A port. So this feature allows you to add wireless Ethernet to any model without subtracting any of the wired capability that's included with all those models. All Canvas models also feature USB programming ports. In addition to the enhanced MQTT Sparkplug and WebMI IIoT type features, Canvas also has the ability to use any of our logic languages. So whether you prefer the traditional register-based advanced ladder or variable-based advanced ladder because of its user-defined function block capability and other capabilities, these are both supported by Canvas better than ever before. You can also use enhanced IEC with Canvas and some advanced type troubleshooting tools like breakpoints. In addition to the new standard features we mentioned, all Canvas models also feature all brand new internal graphics. Horner OCS models have supported system menus and system recovery screens for many years. However, these have always been text-based. Now with Canvas, all of the internal graphics have been completely redesigned. Canvas is the first Horner OCS product line that supports gestures. Canvas is still primarily a resistive touchscreen-based hardware platform, not capacitive touchscreen-based. This is because a resistive touchscreen is a much more reliable option for industrial applications and is the best option if you have a glove-based operator. So Canvas supports simple gestures such as swipes, scrolls, rotates, and flicks. Now let's look at the individual models in the Canvas lineup. We will start with the Canvas 4. The Canvas 4 was purposefully designed to look similar to the XL4, as the XL4 has been one of our most popular models for many years, and to allow for a smooth transition to the Canvas series for any XL users. The Canvas 4 has a 4-inch screen and a quarter VGA form factor with similar dedicated keys to the XL4. This is one of the few models in the Canvas line that has these buttons. All the models in Canvas, with the exception of one, feature XL series I/O options. So when you order them, you will select whether you want a Model 0 with no built-in I/O, a Model 2, which is 12 digital in, 6 relay out, and 4 analog in, a Model 3, which is 12 in, 12 out, solid state, and 2 analog in, a Model 4, which adds more digital I/O, which is a combination of digital and analog, or a Model 6, which is one of our more popular models because it has the most extensive analog options available. So with a Model 6 from any Canvas, you will have 12 in, 12 out, digital 6, analog in, and 4 analog out, where all the analog is universal, so nearly any sensor type on the input side and any analog output style on the output side. So these are the I/O options available for every Canvas model except the Canvas 5. The Canvas 5 is based on a hardware platform that has 4 DC in, 4 DC out, and 4 analog in, so it has a similar basic hardware platform to the X5, but with the advancements made to the entire Canvas series. The Canvas 7 is one of the 2 models in the family that has a 7-inch display. This is currently one of our most popular sizes, with 800 by 480 pixels. The last 2 models in the Canvas family are the Canvas 7D and the Canvas 10D. As well as larger displays, these models both feature dual Ethernet and dual CAN, as well as audio output capability. These features are unique to the 7D and the 710. The 7D is very similar to the XL7 in terms of appearance, once again allowing for a smooth transition to the Canvas series from the XL series. The 10D is unique as it has the first widescreen with a high-resolution display in a 10-inch size from Horner. We offer a wide range of overlay options to choose from for all controller models in the Canvas series, ensuring the best fit for your application. We have a variety of different overlay options available, as you can see here. By adding the corresponding suffix to the product's part number, you can specify the exact overlay needed for your application. No suffix denotes a black overlay, 00 denotes a blue-black overlay, 01 denotes a gray overlay, and 02 denotes no overlay, and in this case the customer fits their own. Custom overlays are also possible. If you are interested, please contact your local distributor to discuss your requirements. There are also many support materials available for Canvas. From the Horner Automation website, the Canvas sales brochure is available for download. From here, you can also access all the Canvas product web pages, where you can access user manuals, datasheets, and sales sheets. Canvas models are now available for order through your local distributor. All Canvas models are built to order, so factory times will vary depending on the model. The Canvas 4, 7, and 7D are expected to take 2 to 3 weeks, whereas the Canvas 5 and 10D are expected to take 4 to 6 weeks. Please contact your local Horner distributor for up-to-date availability and lead times for your locale. Now we will look at Cscape 10. The new Cscape 10 features we will discuss can be broken into 3 different categories. We will first look at the changes made to the user interface of Cscape 10. We will then look at the changes made to the graphic editing features and the changes to the graphic editing process, regardless of what OCS you are using. Finally, we will look at the redesigned graphics objects that are exclusive to Canvas, so they need Canvas hardware and firmware to be executed. Let's start with how the user interface has changed in Cscape 10 compared to Cscape 9 and earlier versions. First, we will look at the Quick Menu button. The Quick Menu button is in the upper left corner of the screen, and from it you can access some of the most commonly needed program management functions for your application. From here you can create a new project or open and save to an existing project. You can also export to removable media or make a digital copy of your program for loading it remotely. In Cscape 10, you can now also access all of your program settings conveniently in one place from the Quick Menu button. One of the biggest changes to the user interface in Cscape 10 is the ribbon toolbar. The ribbon toolbar replaces the pull-down menus used in Cscape 9 and earlier versions. So all the commands previously accessed from pull-down menus are now sorted into 8 different tabs, such as the Home tab, the Edit tab, and the Logic Editing tab. Some commands can be performed from multiple tabs, but in general, commands are located within a group in a specific tab. At the bottom of each tab, there are multiple groups. For example, the Home tab shown on the screen has a View group, a Controller group, an Online Change group, a Program group, and a Data group. So once again, the ribbon toolbar is one of the biggest changes to the user interface and how you can navigate to different commands in Cscape 10. Another new feature with Cscape 10 is the Quick Access toolbar. This is another way that you can quickly access commands. Many of the commands available in the ribbon toolbar can be represented here by an icon. By default, the Quick Access toolbar is located above the ribbon toolbar and has a default set of icons that you can customize however you want. For example, if you have 3 or 4 commands that you use repeatedly in your program, you can add them to your Quick Access toolbar to access them conveniently. You can also reorder this list of commands if you choose. Now let's look at how graphic editing has changed for Cscape 10. The biggest difference with Cscape 10 is that screens are now edited in tabs alongside logic tabs. In Cscape 9 and earlier versions, graphic editing was done in a separate window that took over the entire desktop, and you had to exit that window to edit your logic or perform any other functions. So instead of this, Cscape 10 allows you to quickly and conveniently switch between graphic editing tabs and logic tabs. Another new feature for graphics editing in Cscape 10 is the graphics toolbar. The logic toolbar has been a feature in many previous versions of Cscape, and now there is also a toolbar for graphics. And as you switch between a logic tab and a screen editing tab, the toolbar changes from a logic toolbar to a graphics toolbar. This also applies to the logic and now graphic toolbox features. The toolbox categorizes all the different logic functions as your editing logic in Cscape. Now when you're editing graphics in a screen editing tab, this toolbox will have different categories of screen functions and objects you can use as you're building your screens. There are some other new features you can take advantage of for your screen graphics, regardless of which Horner OCS controller you are using. Similar to previous versions of Cscape, Cscape 10 will continue to support an optional symbol library version for an additional charge. As well as this, Cscape 10 now also has a clip art library with hundreds of industry-focused images and drawings, such as motors, pumps, tanks, and conveyors. So you have more options than ever when it comes to finding pre-drawn images that you can incorporate into your project. Clip art is available as a standard feature with every version of Cscape 10. Once again, we are still supporting the symbol library version of Cscape for Cscape 10. From here you can access thousands of images that can be edited to suit your project. If you would like to access the symbol version of Cscape 10, you can purchase a license. You can contact our tech support for more details on this. If you decide to use the free download version of Cscape 10 instead, you will still have the clipart library available to you. Other new and enhanced features for graphic and screen editing in Cscape 10 include an updated image import window, so it is now easier to find and to preview the custom images, such as JPEGs or bitmaps, that you want to include in your project. There are also some new options for manipulating images, such as flipping horizontal and vertical, scaling, and removing the background of an image. If you are using Canvas, there are further enhancements for supporting PNG file format, GIF file format, and additional scaling options as well. Next, we will look at the graphics features in Cscape 10 that are Canvas exclusive. These are listed here. So from this point on in the webinar, all the features we will look at require Canvas firmware and hardware to be accessed. The first feature we will look at is enhanced display attributes for all graphics objects. Attributes allow features such as visibility, flashing, and color to be changed dynamically. Now with Canvas and Cscape 10, you also have enhanced attributes. Enhanced attributes can be modified at runtime and include options such as the X position and Y position on the screen of an object, the rotation of an object, its opacity on a 0 to 100% opacity scale, and the width of an object. You can either assign individual variables to these individual attributes if you only wish to change one attribute, for example, or if you are going to be manipulating multiple of these attributes, you can assign a structure-based variable so that you can quickly and easily access all of those attributes with just assigning a single variable. As well as this, with Cscape 10 and Canvas, you now have the ability to completely customize your background for all objects. Traditionally, with object backgrounds and screen backgrounds in Cscape and OCS units with standard graphics, you can simply change the background color. With Canvas, you have the ability to select a custom image as your background or from a variety of patterns, and you can also change the color scheme and modify some of these patterns. So you have a lot more choices for backgrounds with objects in Canvas. Data objects for Cscape 10 and Canvas have also been enhanced. These are the objects that are used to display numeric data, ASCII type data, or time and date information. You now have much more options, not only for the shape of those objects, but now you can also change the way the user edits these objects on the unit at runtime. For example, you can decide if you choose to have the user utilize a tumbler control for modifying data as shown on the screen, if that makes the most sense for that particular data field. For indicators such as pilot lights, you now have more style and indicator property options. As well as this, there is now a user-defined indicator option with Canvas and Cscape 10. So you can choose what the image looks like for a user-defined indicator when the indicator or the variable is on, and what it looks like when the variable is off. There are now also a lot more options for all types of buttons and switches, such as push buttons, toggle switches, multi-position switches, and selector switches, with more styles than ever before to choose from. Jump buttons have also been enhanced. Jump buttons are used by the operator to change from screen to screen, and these have been enhanced with new icons and styles. Another capability has been added to the jump button for changing screens, so you can specify if you want the operator to change screens with a swipe. So you can put an invisible jump button onto your screen and now enable a swipe gesture to change screens. Not only are there more display options and different types of sliders available than ever before, but we now also have a new rotary style slider, as well as a rotary action on the touch gesture to be able to easily manipulate and rotate that new rotary slider. Bar graphs have also been enhanced for Cscape 10 and Canvas. So instead of just solid colors on bar graphs, you can now choose images or specific patterns as the fill for a bar graph. So effectively, you can turn a bar graph into a progress bar if you choose. You can also choose either a linear bar graph or a new style, which is a rotary bar graph as well. Gauges and meters have been enhanced with new visual options, as shown on the screen. One of the biggest updates, which also applies to bar graphs, is that you now don't have to have an integer-based variable in order to have a gauge object on the screen. So if you had a real variable you wanted to represent by a gauge with Cscape 9, you needed to also create an integer version of that variable that the gauge can be tied to. With Cscape 10, you can simply connect or reference a real variable from a gauge directly. This also applies to the redesigned trend and graph objects, which can now support any data type. There have been a lot of other changes made to these objects. For example, with trends you can now have up to 16 pens on a single trend, you can have multiple y-axes, and you can support multiple variable types at runtime. The operator can now also dynamically show and hide individual pens at runtime, which can be useful if you want to focus in on one pen, for example. Then from a graph standpoint, you also have more flexibility with XY graphs and the option to create scatterplot graphs. You also have a lot more tools in Cscape 10 for displaying and enunciating alarms, including an alarm banner that will only display if you have an active alarm, and will scroll across the screen with an alarm message if it has multiple alarms or the alarm message is too long to be displayed in one time on the top of the screen. When you're displaying alarm history or current alarms, if the list you are looking at on the screen is longer than what will fit on the screen, you can use gestures to scroll up and down through your list. So once again, you have gesture support with Cscape 10 that's now added to the alarm object. You also have the ability to have dynamic messages. In other words, you don't have to have the same text displayed every time you have an alarm message. Instead, it could include some standardized text and live data. The recipe object has been completely redesigned. In previous versions of Cscape, you had to build your own recipe object. But with Cscape 10, you now have a single recipe object with a lot of different configuration options to make it easier to build a fully functional recipe object. So as you're selecting a product before you run your machine, you can have a list of all the products as shown on the screen, and then use gestures to scroll up and down through the list to find the specific product you want to run. Once a product is selected, it will appear in the top right corner to show the current product that has been selected. You can also have icons or graphics for products, as well as for the different process variables or ingredients. As you are changing the quantity of ingredients, you could make a tumbler or spinner type control for doing those edits. We also have some integrated operator buttons included with the object for loading a specific recipe or saving a recipe if you have made changes to it, or adding a new recipe based on an existing recipe. If you are unsure of how to use any of the controls, there is also a help button which will show you what the functionality is for each of the buttons. The removable memory object has also been improved for Cscape 10 and Canvas. You now have multiple views available, both a folder view and a list view. You can sort files and folders based on the different types of criteria. You also have tabs for both microSD and USB flash drive, whereas with previous versions of Cscape it was strictly microSD only. You also have built-in buttons for commands such as copy and delete. Finally, we have the redesigned video object. So if you want to include help videos with your machine control screens, for example, you can do this with the video object. It should be noted that these videos won't include audio, so subtitles may be needed. You have all the control buttons, such as the pause and replay buttons, included in the object by default, so you no longer need to build these in. One of the other capabilities available in Canvas for this video object is the ability to automatically scale the screens you've created to different screen sizes. So you can have the same project for users with a 7-inch screen model or a 10-inch screen model and let Canvas do the scaling for you. So navigating up and down from screen to screen is easier than ever with Canvas. So now we have looked at the improvements to Cscape 10 in general, as well as the improvements that are Canvas exclusive. Finally, we will discuss who should use Cscape 10. Firstly, if you are going to use Canvas for a project, then you must use Cscape 10. If you are not using Canvas, you can transition to Cscape 10 on your own time and comfort level. You can have both Cscape 9.9 and Cscape 10 installed on your desktop simultaneously, so you can switch back and forth between the two versions as you are learning how to use and adjusting to Cscape 10. That concludes our webinar for today. Thank you so much for listening, and the Q&A session will begin shortly.
Okay, we carry on the Canvas side of things with Cscape 10 next week again. We'll be going through a graphics overview, followed the following week by display attributes and so on. As you can see on my screen with all the upcoming stuff. And all the webinars we have done are still available in the past webinars, so you can come back and watch these at any point. I'm not seeing any questions on that, and that is our upcoming. So in that case, I think we will leave it there for today. Thank you all very much, and we hope to see you again next week.